Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and do you see all this craziness? That can only mean one thing, y'all. We are looking at another palette today. We are, of course, you've read the title, you've seen the thumbnail. Nudie Patootie. Laura Lee put this out. She is a YouTuber, a bajillion followers. It's a thing. This is her second palette release from her brand, Laura Lee Los Angeles, and I thought it would be kind of a fun palette to take a look at, see what I think, what I know, what I like, what I want, what I feel. You get the gist. So, I just wanted to kind of take a look at it and see what we think of the formula. How does it compare with past ones? What did I find as far as other similar palettes or similar colors, and kind of go that route. Now, I will say, if we're looking like from a momentary just this is what I like. I love the personal aesthetic on this packaging, and again, I'm not sure how well it's going to come up on screen, but this lettering right here, this like raised like more shiny or satiny finish detail, I love. I love that her little logo right here, it like almost looks like a sticker, but it's like a faux sticker. I don't know, I really love the overall sleek look to this packaging, and I love that she branded it very beautifully. Her LL Laura Lee is on the back right here, like her insignia, as well as on the binding right here, which I think you can see that long strip, and right in the middle there's that same LL detail, which I don't know that that'll show up on camera, but it's a beautiful detail because when I lay my palettes, at least I can speak for me specifically, a lot of times I do lay them like this, so it's cool that it's almost like, oh, what are you getting? Moby Dick. Well, what are you grabbing? This palette. And I like that detail a lot. It's just a really nice, thoughtful perspective. I don't want to waste a ton of time on packaging. You do get a nice full mirror here, and this big long ass guy right here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 14 shades. They are clocking in at a whopping 0.06 a piece, which is actually a really nice pan size. That is bigger than a standard Urban Decay shadow. So I have been using this palette for a hot minute. I'm not going to swatch it because, as you know, we only swatch in first impressions on my channel. In ones like this where I've been working with them more, we kind of go through the palette, give my thoughts, we apply them to the eye, I tell you what I like, what I don't like, and then of course swatching, you know, I don't really do that in these videos because by the time it gets here, like, it's already been done, been seen, been swatched 3,000 times. So I try not to waste your time with too much of that nonsense. What I will say, the first thing I noticed when I opened my physical palette when it came in the mail is the difference versus what I thought it looked like. And I'm going to bring up, so you guys can see what I'm talking about, I want to bring up a picture of, and I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but this right here is what the actual palette looked like, which, especially if you focus on the top row, they look very dark, in my opinion, like a nice dark hue, right? So then when I hold up the palette, I expected the same thing. Except they are not the same. They are so much lighter in person. Let me hold it back here, actually. They're so much lighter in person than they were in the picture, because I was really blown away. I was like, oh, that was my favorite color when I saw it online. It's no longer my favorite color. Oh, I loved that. Ooh, but it's a little bit too cool tone. You know what I mean? Like, that did happen a lot. So just from like the photography perspective, I felt like it was a little bit, you know, off in representation as far as how it was online. But this is a $45 palette, so I think the price point is pretty standard. And I'm excited to kind of go in. We're going to fluff some of these onto the eye, and while we're doing it, I'm going to tell you what I think. So we're going to go in first with this shade right here. It is the shade Strip. I can never remember shade names. And then after that, we are going to start fluffing the shade Butt Naked, which is this guy right here. I may or may not go bare in a little bit into the upper crease as well. I'm not really, you know, I'm not like doing anything specific today. My main goal with this palette was I wanted to talk to you guys about it. I really wanted to just jump right into the eye look because I do have a bunch of other palettes that I was like sifting through. I found some that I think are kind of similar. Paige, actually put some shit onto your eyes. And this is the Morphe Y16. But I found a bunch that I think are kind of similar, but I have to be honest in saying that I didn't find a ton that were exact. Actually, I didn't find any that were exact because she has a very nice arrangement in this palette of mattes, shimmers, and more of a chunky, glittery shimmer. And a lot of other palettes that have a similar tone to this palette, they don't have all three textures. So I think one of the biggest things you're going to want to note is what are you looking for in a palette? And P.S., this yellow shade right here is by far one of my favorite shades. I love it so much. It's a beautiful mustard yellow shade. It goes beautiful on the lower lash line. It goes beautiful in the crease. Everything blends so perfectly into this shade. Like, this to me is such a winning shade. I can't even. I love it so much. Now for the brown shade, Buck Naked, I'm actually going to start working in with the BH number 6 brush. This is also another really good brown. It's like a really beautiful mix, in my opinion, between like a cool tone and a warm tone brown. I really enjoy it, and I love the way that it builds. A bunch of people, you know, when I was making a list of like, what do I think and all that, I was getting a lot of, you know, is it similar to her other palette? What do you think in that respect? I actually think, if I'm being honest, and again, you guys know that's what I'm all about here. I think that this palette, as far as blendability, as far as pigmentation, and overall like usability, I like it better than her Cat's Pajamas palette, which I know I didn't expect that either. I have to be honest, as far as the Cat's Pajamas palette goes, I wasn't obsessed. Like, I know that everybody else was. I went back and tried to use it a couple of times because there were a few really beautiful shades in there that I really liked. And the end result was I kept getting annoyed with it because I didn't like the fact that I had to work so hard for the shadows. And I'm going to go in now with this brush. This is my Wet n Wild brush. It's stained because I used it with a bad pigment. But I'm going in with the shade Bear, and I'm going to fluff that between those two colors. But what I don't like about the Cat's Pajamas palette is that after I went and tried to use it after all this time, I felt like it wasn't working. And it hasn't been so long that like the shadows should have broken down or anything, but I definitely had like a really hard time making it blend. I couldn't make it work for me. So for me, I don't touch that palette anymore. I use it for comparisons for videos like this one, but that's about it. I don't know. I just really feel like it blends so nicely, and it really just kind of over the eye, really beautiful. And these colors really do go together so nicely. Like, her story, like color story here, is beautiful, and it's very representative of so many skin tones, which I really, really love. For next, I think I really want to take this little tiny BH Cosmetics number 7 brush. I'm going to go into the shade Nakey Nakey, which is the dark matte brown, the darkest one in the palette. And I want to start working that into the outer V and into the inner V a little bit. And I think I might do a little halo action. Okay, so far I think we are looking blended and sexy as hell. You guys, I love those two brown shades together, Buck Naked and Nakey Nakey. They go so beautifully together, and they really do blend nicely with that Bear shade. Overall, the mattes in this palette, I really, really do enjoy, which I think this should go without saying, but like, obviously I'm not paid to say whatever I'm saying. I'm just giving my honest ass review. I think that what I enjoy most about these, which, side note, I do want to be honest in saying that I just dropped a brush and it scared the shit out of me, but I do get a tiny, tiny bit of fallout from the mattes, nothing too crazy, and it's probably just because when I fluff, sometimes like it fluffs a little bit vigorously, but you do get a little bit of kick and pan. But overall, these are pretty tightly pressed. I'm going to try and give you a shot of the pan right here after I've dipped into several of these matte shades, and you can see there really isn't too much kick up in there. I mean, there's a little bit, but nothing too crazy, in my opinion, again, and nothing compared to her previous palette. So I think that the pressing on these and the overall smoothness has definitely improved. For the center of the eye, I have to be honest with you guys, the shade Jaybird, I am obsessed with this shade. I've worn this a couple of times. I think this shade is one of the most beautiful shades, and even in pan, it is so aesthetically pleasing because it has like a pink to green shift that I live for. And the shade Au Naturel, also beautiful. Look at me, I'm like, I'm not swatching, but look at how pretty that one is. My only complaint, and again, I say this more loosely, is that Jaybird is not super duper opaque. So anytime I work with that one, I do feel like I need to either cut out or bare that area. Otherwise, it doesn't really like pop and transcend off the eye like I like. Shh, I'm very busy. I'm transcending. I really like, if I were like looking at these, again, aesthetically, I think that they all match. They all interchange very nicely. I love the fact that they have different undertones. They have different characteristics. They're not one shade, like a light gold, medium gold, dark gold, brass gold, antique gold. You know, it's very different and diverse, and I love that, because just because it's a Nakey palette or whatever the hell it is, or not Nakey, what is this? Nudie Patootie. Look, how could I get that wrong? But just because it has that theme doesn't mean everything needs to be bare or blush or whatever. This is very nice. It's a very nice take on that aesthetic, where it's, you know, there's a pink shimmer, there's a gold shimmer, there's a nice glitter here, there's like a champagne, there's one that teeters on silver, and it's all of that same connotation, but in several different areas, which I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like in my mind, I can see it, and I really like it. So I think for this center part right here, which as you can tell, we're going low bat halo. My nose is just so bad right now. Oh my god. Now I am going to go in and cut my crease today using the Urban Decay All Nighter Primer Potion. This is what I set my eyes with. Sorry, let me actually show you what it looks like. This is what I do prep my eyes with, and then I usually set with translucent powder. Stop it, thank you. Actually, you know what? That is something a couple of you have mentioned in my videos. I don't want to zoom them in as far because for some reason they do go in and out a lot. But anyways, that's not your problem. That's my problem. But I am going to go ahead and use this to cut today. I've been noticing lately that for some reason this has just been working really well for that. Like one day I couldn't find my concealer and I used this instead. I really like it. So this is what I'm going to use today, and we have to find that tiny little brush. Oh hell. Paige, you didn't plan good enough for this business. You ever get that feeling that you're like way off your base or something? Like I feel like I'm not off, like the video is going fine, but I feel like off, like something feels off and I don't know what it is. Like I forgot something and it's like a cosmic joke. Like I'm sitting here, but like I'm sitting in my underwear or something, you know what I mean? Like that weird feeling. I don't know. I'm weird. It's fine. It's cool. So let's take some of this. We're just going to plop that on the back of our hand. And this is what we're going to be working off of. If you guys are ever curious, I'm not fancy. I'm not bougie. I do 90% of what I do off the back of my hand because I'm just that bitch. So let's go ahead, take this, and we are going to give ourselves just a little bit of a halo eye. It's nothing going to be, you know, super duper structured or anything. Because I really do want to mix the shade Jaybird and Undercover and let Jaybird kind of pop on top of it because I really like that look. So yeah, let's just go ahead and give ourselves a little bit of a cut crease here. Whew. I like this so far, and then anytime I work with concealer like this or anything to use a cut, I do like to go in just with my fingers and kind of blend the edges. It really helps, especially when you have super textured lids, at least in my opinion. It helps kind of cut down any weird texture that you're going to get between this now wet area and then this drier area. And then while that's still damp, I like to go back in with the BH number 7 brush. We're going to go into the shade... I just want a tiny, tiny bit of the shade Butt Naked, which is that light brown that we fluffed into the crease. And that's just to help blend that area before we go into the shimmers. Because, again, we need it to be seamless. Because if it's not seamless, girl, you're going to look busted. And we did not just go through all that cut crease crazy for that business. No, queen, we did not. I like how I said, like, oh, I want this to be a casual look. And 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh, let's do a halo eye in the center. Sounds good. Ooh, what if I'm changing my mind on what I want to do? It's my prerogative. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My prerogative to change my mind. If I want to change my mind, I'll change my mind. So I know for sure I want to go in, again, with that Undercover shade. Ooh, no, that's what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to take Jaybird, which is that beautiful shiny pink one, and I'm going to put that on the outsides, and then I'm going to pack Undercover in the dead center up and down. Ooh, that's going to be pretty. Because at first, like I told you guys, I wanted Jaybird to be on top of that other color, but then I thought it would look beautiful to see it blended in with those matte colors. Ooh, oh my god. You guys, I live my best life for this shade. Like, I don't know. I just can't. Ugh. Hello, Prince of Gorgeousness. Where have you been all my life? Oh, yes. And of course we will blend between those, but oh my God. Yes, queen. Anybody else completely normal until you go to like do makeup and then you turn into a complete weirdo? Like, I don't go around in my normal everyday life saying yes, queen. And then the minute I go toward makeup, I turn into a yes, queen dingbat who goes, yes, queen, every 5 seconds. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I noticed that the other day. I'm like, I am not like this if I'm not touching makeup. But the minute I dive in, it's like, oh, can't undo this. We crazy. So now that we have this part done, I'm just kind of making sure everything's blended. You guys, like, how pretty. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. So now we're going to go into the shade Undercover. I'm just like wiping this brush off on my hand because I'm 7 and I don't want to go get a new brush because I don't want to dirty a new brush because I don't even know the last time I cleaned my brushes because I'm a lazy fool. So, you know, guys, I always keep it. I'm probably too honest. Ooh. I'm going to go into the shade Undercover. I'm just taking it again, same brush. And now we're going to pack that onto that center portion and just let it pop. Oh my God, it's so pretty. This is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Like how? And then no additional product on my brush. I just like to blend between those two worlds because it's okay for a little bit of that pink shade to kind of get onto that center area as long as it's blended with that shimmer shade. And now we're going to take with a tiny bit of the shade Nakey Nakey, the darkest matte brown in this palette, and we're going to take that on that BH Cosmetics brush and we're just going to kind of fluff that into the pink. Again, nothing too crazy, nothing too vigorous. Just want to make sure that everything is blended, I mean, as much as they can be, keeping in mind that these are two very different textures. The matte brown is obviously matte. I know, so smart, Paige, good job. And the pink one is more of a chunky glitter, so they're not going to blend as seamlessly as, say, like a shimmer would, you know, a shimmer with a matte, but they'll blend together enough in color that it won't be an issue. Let's go ahead and now it's time to do a little something on that lower lash line. And actually I'm just going to, yet again, taking this BH Cosmetics brush, I'm dusting it off on my hand because me. And I'm going to go in with that shade Strip, which is the yellow shade. And I want to start working, actually I should probably take off some of the bake on my lower lash line because I forget, you guys, this is me every time I'm such an idiot. I always have the bake right here and then I go to put on like lower lash line, anything, and I'm like, what is all this? Why can't I get any color to my eye? It's because there's a layer of powder in your way, Paige. Anybody else or just me? Because seriously. Ooh, now that that area is looking all cleaned off, we're going to go in with that yellow shade and we're just going to pop that down there. And I know what you're thinking. Paige, you've only used a couple colors. Yes, I'm well aware, but we have lots of talking to do about the other colors. So don't hate me yet. Remember, I wanted this part of the video to be a little shorter because I have other thoughts, you guys. I have other things I want to talk about. Look at how beautiful that just like, that was all just that yellow shade, just like blending itself along my lower lash line, like being fabulous. I want to take a little bit of the shade Bear, which is that light pink shade, and I want to take a tiny bit of that and just focus it near the outside of the eye, just as a little bit of extra depth, like probably the outer 2/3, I'd say. Now we're going to go in with my Royal & Lang Nickel Balm 40 shader brush. It's kind of a big fat like smudger brush, but I love this because on the tip of it I deposit a darker color and then it really lets me like shade it into that lower lash line and look all kind of sexy. So let's go in. I want to take this shade, you guessed it, Butt Naked, and we're going to take just a tiny bit of that. We're going to knock it off because we don't want a shit ton, but we want just enough, you know. And then we're going to get that right up next to that lower lash line and kind of blend it down. So now I want to take the shade Nakey Nakey, that dark matte brown shade, on my Royal & Lang Nickel, there is a damn hair, Balm 18 brush, and I want to smudge that one right on in tight to the lower lash line. I'm going to run off of camera real quick. I'm going to finish up the rest of my face, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some other palettes that I found, some other creamy, some other creamy. I don't even, where the hell was I going with that? I don't know. But we're going to talk about other palettes I found, other color stories. Do I think it's worth it? Final thoughts. You know what's up. So hang tight, and I'll be right back. All right, you guys, obviously I went ahead, got the rest of my face on, and I definitely went with more of a dramatic kind of wing for this situation. The wings aren't even, the halo cut creases, nothing's really even on this look, and I don't really care, because I kind of still live for it. Like, I went with like this really nice, beautiful kind of smoky on the outside. I don't know, I was just kind of doing it as I felt it. So anyways, now that the look is complete, I did want to run through a couple of other palettes that I saw in my collection, and I'm not saying these are the only ones out there, but these are are kind of the ones that I saw that had similar pops of color and similar, you know, colors from this palette. I pulled this one out for reference. This is the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes collection, and I pulled this out just for the main purpose of like these peachy pink shades right through here. The colors in, if you do have this palette or you have worked with it, the colors in the mattes in her palette reminded me kind of like the mattes in this palette. The hues of a couple of these browns as well as the pinks, they were kind of similar, but I do feel like hers had a little bit more pigment, like straight to the eye, but they did blend out about equal to a Too Faced, or especially to this Too Faced palette. I'm not going to say all Too Faced palettes because did anybody see my review on the White Peach? I'll link it up here if you didn't. Oh my god. The one palette that Nudie Patootie really reminded me of, and again, it's not an exact match, but like the overall hues, were the Viseart Trist palette, which I believe I did a full first impression of, or I can link that up here for you guys as well. But just that overall tone, which let me grab that one so you guys can actually have them side by side. Like, hello Paige, learn how to do your life. Now, I'm not exactly sure how well they're going to pick up being true to camera or not, but you can definitely see it's a very similar color story, very nice, like light peachy pink colors, and this one also has this beautiful, like unique kind of pink shimmer in it that I think is beautiful. Again, not the same shimmers, not the same colors that the Nudie Patootie one has, but it does have a more similar color story and like more similar vibe, I would say, than any of the other palettes, but this one just doesn't have like a very true gold shade like this one does. And the other thing that's very unique to this one is the arrangement in which she did the different colors and the way that it's laid out. I think the layout for this is absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I love that when you're using it, the palette flows very nicely. Like, for example, even the eye look that I created today, everything was kind of grouped together. I didn't mean to do that, but it was all just kind of right there all together. Same on the other side. I feel like it's a very easy navigational palette, so if you're someone that's kind of new to it in that aspect, I think that not only will the color story work really well for a person just getting into makeup, but I think it'll be easy for them to kind of find their way through it, ebb and flow. So overall, you guys, I'm gonna be honest, I actually really liked this palette a lot more than I thought I would. I loved these glitter shades, and again, I'm not normally a big fan of like a chunky glitter shade because they fall out like crazy, and these did have a little bit of fallout, but they weren't awful when I took them on that tiny little brush and I applied them very direct. I've also applied all of them with my fingers. That works beautifully as well. I think the main thing to note is that anything that looks like these big glittery guys right here, don't just like go in with a big brush and like try to go ham in the pan, because you will break apart the entire shadow. Those are much more loosely packed and they're a lot more almost oil feeling than a normal shadow. So they're just more suspended versus packed down like a normal matte shadow. So that would really be the only thing I would say. Other than that, I think these all applied really beautiful. I think overall, this is actually a really good palette. I think the quality is there, and I was pretty harsh on it because I really didn't know if I was going to love it or not. I really love this eye. I wish it would have come out a little more even, but you guys, makeup is not that serious. It doesn't matter. So anyways, I'm kind of obsessed. Alright, you guys, that is it for this video. Please let me know down in the comments, what do you think? Did you like it? Did you not? Did you feel it? Were you feeling it? Were you feeling me? Like, what were you feeling? Let's talk about all the feelings. So, you guys, thank you so much for watching this. I cannot believe that she has come out with another palette. I don't know why that was so weird to me. Like, I know she has other highlights and other things in the works, but for some reason, she announced this palette launch, and I was just like, so soon, but I guess it really isn't that soon. And I will go ahead and I will link my review of Cat's Pajamas up here as well, because when I got that palette, I did a full first impression, so it has swatches and all that stuff. But a lot like all the other palettes I review, I haven't really talked about it since, so it'll be kind of a good way for you to compare, talk, think, and kind of share thoughts. I liked that in this palette, she went through and she experimented more with different textures, different feelings, everything was just different overall, and I feel like she's definitely growing and evolving as a brand, and it's super awesome to see that. But you guys can leave me your thoughts down below. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you think that I'm right? Are you like, hey Paige, quit blowing smoke up our ass, we hate this palette? I don't think we needed another nude palette in the world, but I do think that hers is a beautiful addition to what we have. So those are my final thoughts, you guys. Please do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below, and check the description box for all my social media handles. And yeah, that's it, you guys. Have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Checking out my Nudie Patootie palette. Kinda like my eyes, kinda like how they turned out. What do you think of my face? Ha ha ha.